Hi everyone, welcome to week 6 of U101. It is the sort of natural progression this week from week 5, putting theory into some of the principles that you were looking at last week. It's divided into 3 sections. The first is about composition, and for those who have attended the tutorial, who've seen the video last week, and who've watched the suggested video about poster layout on this channel, we've already seen these things. They're all existing concepts that you've taken a look at or that you've experimented with. So there's nothing to worry about. Don't be intimidated by them. It's just putting words into the things that we've been looking at. Now, for those who need, there's a lot of theory in that section. So for those who need a practical element or a practical understanding to what they're looking at or the theories that they're talking about, I would suggest actually move into the second tab, Activity 4. Read that one. Don't do it yet, but just read through it so that you understand what the practical implications are of these principles. And then go back, working in reverse, to the summary to look at the general idea of all these principles, and then go into the specifics of each theory. I would work that way just because I need that practical understanding. I can't just read a theory and then know how to apply it. So I would suggest that for those who do need that. If you can understand a theory and then later translate it to practice, then fantastic, you can go with the natural progression of the course. There's a few concepts that I just want to mention as you're going through this. One of them is line weight. This is a very important thing in design. It is very well known and it is very well practiced. Good designers know how to use the line weight to explain different things or put emphasis on different parts of their design. I'm going to put a slide up just now. It has 4 squares that have different kinds of emphasis on them. They're all a cube, they're all the same shape, but we're putting different weight to different lines specifically. The first one has just a face with thicker lines. That seems to suggest that you're looking more specifically to that face. The second one is about the outline, so you're looking at the shape in its entirety. The third one has thicker lines that are closer to us and smaller lines that are further away. This creates a lot more depth and emphasis on things that are close. And then the other one actually has sort of an abstract use of different weights. And you can see that it's not really telling us much of a story. It's kind of just there and almost destroys the idea of a cube, and it's actually now just a bit of a logo. So keep that in mind when you're using different weights and how that's going to create something that you want it to emphasize in your designs. There's a suggestion I can make. They aren't all perfect, but if you look on Coreflow, I'm going to put the link in the description. Coreflow is a website where people can share their portfolios. I would take a look at the industrial design section because that's usually where the most sketches are. Now, not everyone is perfect. Not everyone has the same ways of looking at it. Don't be intimidated by the incredible designs of some people. This isn't about a target. You're at week 6 of your first design course. So it's not about, reaching this by the end of week 30, not at all. It's about understanding that these are benchmarks of, excellent design, and take a look at how they're using the different lines in their sketches, focus on the sketch, or how they're composing their images, how they're setting up a page, and just use the principles that you're taking from this week to analyze what's going on in these portfolios. This can be a helpful exercise for you. There's also an activity I would like you to do. It takes 3 minutes and it's going to be in the middle of this video just now. It's about abstraction and an understanding of what lines are absolutely needed to understand what an object is. So the activity, I'm going to put an image up. It is a kettle, and I want you to pause this video after this and look at the kettle. Take 1 minute to draw it, and draw as much as you can in that minute. Stop, start again, and do it only in 30 seconds, so you'll have half the time to draw this kettle and think about which lines are absolutely critical to understanding that it is a kettle. After you've done that, stop that sketch, start a new one, using only 5 lines, try to draw the kettle. Then beside it, 4 lines. Then, as you will probably expect, using only 3 lines, try to describe the kettle, then 2, and then 1. So try to think about what is the essential shape or the essential sort of emphasis that you want to put on to understand that this is a kettle. That's the exercise. So it'll take maybe 3 minutes, and I highly suggest it. It's just a matter of seeing those different elements and seeing the different hierarchies between what is essential and what's a detail. And that'll help with line hierarchy. In activity 4, you will also be taking some sketches and you'll be repeating them in different ways using different principles. So things like symmetry or repetition. This is an excellent exercise for ideation. It's an excellent exercise that matches with the idea of quantity over quality. Now, when I had these exercises in school, they were very demanding, but it was the idea that you have a shape and you have to repeat it using these principles, and you have to do 300 compositions. But of those 300, you pick 2. And what you would find is that all of the compositions, you wouldn't pick from the first 50, you wouldn't even pick from the first 100. It was like sketch 197 and sketch like 212 that were selected. And that goes to show that you need that you need that evolution or like devolution to really find the perfect compositions. You'll start with a couple of sketches and you'll think like that's enough, but really those are sort of cliches or they're not really pushing it that far, and really take it to like a further level. One thing I could suggest as well is to take that sketch and put it into Keynote or PowerPoint and copy paste it 1,000,000 times and just start messing with it, repeating it in different ways, cutting it in half, moving it into different sections. So you're using these different principles that you've learned from the beginning of this week, and you're applying them to find different compositions that look really good or look interesting or put emphasis on the right things that you want to put emphasis on, or that just like feel right. After 300 of them, there's bound to be one of them that you're just like, that feels good. And I'm not saying that you need to do 300, but I would definitely suggest that you take a sheet of paper, put some squares into it, create a grid or a table, and just draw within all of them different versions, draw a composition, then draw another one, then draw another one, or do the same thing in PowerPoint or Keynote, and just put it in, draw one version or create one version, manipulate another, and then multiply them as much as you can. Do as many sketches as possible. I think a healthy number for this activity is at least 50. If you have the time, go to 100, go to 200, and share them on the Open Design Studio. Absolutely, I will love to take a look at them. Just send them through there and we can talk about them. Then finally, I also want to mention, 5 W's and 1 H is something you're gonna see: who, what, when, where, why, and how. This is such an excellent basis for design when you're starting to evaluate something, when you're starting to critique it or think about it, and you say, who is this for? What is it used for? When would you use it? How is it used? Why would you make it, or why would someone take that specifically or use that specifically? And you can manipulate those questions 1,000,000 different times and get a bunch of different answers that help you have a really great view of design or the critique of something as a whole. Finally, there was also a point on writing for evaluation. This is something that we've talked about already, and it lines up with what we've been talking about, the use of first and third person. Now, first person is when we're referring directly to ourselves, when the subject of the sentence is ourselves. The designer thought that this would be a da-da-da-da-da. You can really, in those cases, use I suggest blah, 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 blah. But when it's I thought of this idea to create well, in reality, the subject isn't you. The subject is the idea, and you want to take away the emphasis from yourself and really draw the attention onto your idea. So you can just remove that and really create like third person descriptions for the things that really are about the design. It's the difference between something you did and something you did, if that makes sense. It's what you've created, the creation itself is the emphasis in this case, and it's not the designer. So that's it for this week. Reminder that next Tuesday there is a tutorial. It is recorded, I think. Take a look. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's recorded. That being said, I would really love to see you all there. And because it's recorded, there isn't going to be a video next week. It's all in preparation of the TMA 1 that you'll be facing. So I think it's really important for you to attend just so you can start asking questions about it and take a look at week 7, just the quickest little overview to understand what the activity is going to be in preparation of the tutorial. That's it. I have nothing else to say. I hope you have a good week and I hope you enjoyed this week's content and get ready for the tutorial next Tuesday at 7. See you.